Welcome back, or just welcome. I'm Lizzie Frizzle, and this is the Recap Corner. Today, we're talking about Stars on Mars, Season 1, Episode 12. It's called Brightest Star. So, this is the season finale, and unfortunately, I think it might also be the most boring episode of the season. As the end credits rolled, my biggest takeaway, aside from learning who won, was that at this point in the season, there was no budget left. It's Sol 19, the penultimate soul of the entire experiment, and along with the lack of budget, there's also a lack of footage. We see several clip segments rehashing cast members' journeys to this point, and there's lots of drawn-out, dramatic musical interludes used to create suspense around events that aren't suspenseful. But it's clear at least one segment was specifically saved for the finale. We learn that inside the hab, on one of the walls near the airlock, there's a big red button that naturally says, "Do not press on it." Commander Shatner, still hanging around the hab, really wants to press it.
What does this do? I'm totally fascinated by what this does. Is do not push.
And he's not the only one. We learn that pressing the button will shut off all of the hab's life support systems. It was installed as a test of self-control for the Celebronauts, who apparently all failed within the first hours of the experiment. As a result, the hab's AI shut off the ability to shut off the life support systems until now, when it conveniently reinstated the function. With the emergency shutoff back online, Shaddy Daddy resists the urge to press the button, for now.
I've got to, it says do not, and that always appeals to me.
Okay, good. You're a rule follower.
But we'll check back later and see how he's doing. Meanwhile, the Celebronauts must reduce themselves from 5 to 3. To do so, everyone writes questions for one another about why they think they should advance to the next round. Then the group votes for the 3 people who are most mission critical, and the other 2 are immediately extracted. This entire segment was like a huge waste of time. It was basically a totally toothless final tribal council. The questions were meaningless. Paul asks Tinashe how she handles failure. Portia asks Adam if he really thinks he's the brightest star in the galaxy. There's a very sudden and out-of-place backstory where Paul reveals that he was stabbed 11 times when he was in his 20s. I'm glad he's okay.
Paul, do you feel that you deserve to win over the people who have been here longer?
At my lowest point in my life, I was stabbed 11 times. I was out, nightclub, got into an altercation. I was like 23 years old, living my dream. Then all of a sudden, I'm fighting death, wow. You know? My first 4 days, I was on bottom 3, and now I'm sitting here at the table.
Yeah.
So it's kind of been my life, you know, starting at the bottom and rising up.
I can see how wonderful you all are.
The only redeeming thing about this segment was the editors taking Kat to task.
When I came in, I knew that some alliances had been formed, and you guys had been here before us. I feel like that throughout it, though, I've tried to keep my head very focused on what's fair. Who should be in the bottom 3? It definitely should not have been Paul and I.
Ready on
Andy,
one.
clear the line. If I had to say there was anybody had some trouble with the directions, it was Andy. In no way, shape, or form is this personal. For me, it's all about business and strategy.
Bye.
I feel like that I came in here and I tried to play it as fair as I could. But also, when I came in and started cooking for the crew, like real food, like big meals, and I think it was a huge success.
After all the questions have been asked and answered, of course, the 3 original cast members vote together and the 2 newcomers vote together, which leads to Kat and Paul being swiftly extracted and Adam, Portia, and Tinashe forming the final three. For their success, and by success I mean for being on the show the entire time, they each earn a teamwork patch, which we knew was going to happen because Adam was already wearing his in an interview earlier in the episode.
Now, the third person who's been voted, mission critical, is...
I'm feeling a little like I might have diarrhea, but I think that I'm gonna hold it in because I'm wearing white.
Though Kat and Paul's extractions were very inevitable given the voting format, their eliminations were two of the season's most satisfying. Paul was the worst performer in almost every mission he participated in. And despite Kat's ability to rightly recognize that the newcomers would need to stick together if they had any hopes of winning, she was also so petty she couldn't resist extracting Andy, a fellow newcomer, as soon as she had the chance. The final three learn that they'll compete in one more mission to determine who's the brightest star in the galaxy. The winner will earn the ability to transmit a message from Mars to Earth. So I guess there was a prize for the winner after all. Throughout the rest of the episode, a little clock occasionally pops up in the corner, counting down until the message transmission. I thought this was so funny, because the message transmission is the last thing that happens, so the clock is just counting down to the regular end of the episode. With their final night in the hab, the Celebronauts brainstorm what their messages should say, and the edit takes more shots at Kat.
I kind of felt like I knew it was going to be a 3.
I knew it.
Yeah.
I wrote it down so fast I had to slow myself down. I did put Cat above Paul.
Yeah, I did that too.
I didn't.
That's smart.
Tinashe.
I saw what I needed to see earlier. As much as I love Kat, I do feel like she had some of an attitude of she wanted to win by any means necessary. I respect the fight, but...
And then who wants to have someone do something for you and bring it up to you for themselves?
But I'd also noticed that energy throughout because it was kind of like, I ordered this for y'all. I do this for y'all. I take care of y'all. Kat's not here to cook for us tonight, but honestly, the kitchen is closed.
In the morning, Shaddy Daddy explains the final mission in more detail. Outside are partially built satellite towers. The Celebronauts' goal is to finish assembling their satellite, then use it to transmit their message to Earth. However, there are only 2 satellite towers for 3 remaining Celebronauts. So first, to determine the final 2, everyone takes a quiz based on information found in the HAB manual. The first 2 Celebronauts to correctly answer 5 questions advance to the next phase of the final mission. The loser gets left behind in the HAB. To raise the stakes, Shaddy Daddy finally succumbs to the urge to press that do not press button, thereby shutting off life support systems and forcing the cast to finish their quizzes within the next 5 minutes before the HAB runs out of oxygen. But if someone needed like 7 minutes to do their quiz, then I'm sure that's how much oxygen would be left in the HAB. Because it wouldn't be Stars on Mars without an arbitrary time limit that may or may not have been added into the mission in post. A few weeks ago, I wished for this, that information found in the HAB manual would be incorporated into the final mission. But this quiz segment was a huge letdown. In the first question, 2 of 3 multiple choice answers are obvious jokes, and yet Portia still gets it wrong. The next question isn't even in the HAB manual, at least I don't think.
Listen to this short clip from former base commander Marshawn Lynch.
IYD commander, you know what I mean? IYD stands for...
What does IYD stand for? I'm your dude. I'm your daddy.
Wait.
It's your disco.
Oh.
Answer.
Yo, daddy.
I love a Marshawism as much as the next gal, but this question was so out of place. because it was the only one that wasn't Mars trivia. And I like the idea of some questions being about the Celebronauts instead of about Mars, but it has to be more than one. Eventually, as the Habs oxygen timer and the message countdown clock both tick down, the cast is tied with 4 correct answers each. This was, like, the episode's most exciting and most boring moment. Because, on the one hand, anybody could win, so I'm on the edge of my seat, but at the same time, I'm still just watching 3 people stand in a line and take tests on tablets. I'm not even seeing what answers they're guessing. It's like mental head of household competitions on Big Brother also involve watching people stand in a line and take a test. But at least we get to see their answers. And at least we get to hear Julie Chen freaking out when the house guests forget to reset them.
Alyssa, reset and step down. You're the only one to get it wrong. Everyone reset as we move on.
And this segment on Stars on Mars was somehow even less exciting than that. Adam is the first Celebranaut with 5 correct answers, so he hops on a rover and gets a head start driving to the satellite towers. Tinashe passes the test next and hops on the second rover, racing to catch up to Adam. That leaves Portia alone in the Hab as its final seconds of oxygen run out. Portia says she's excited to get busy conquering stuff on Earth. She's sad to lose the competition, but chalks it up to her motto, no regrets, lessons learned, which is how I'm going to write off my choice to cover Stars on Mars. Elsewhere, Adam arrives at the satellite towers in between 2 instances of the same Tinashe interview.
Adam had a pretty good head start on me at this point, so I was doing my best to catch up to him. Here I come. Adam had a pretty good head start on me at this point, so I was doing my best to catch up to him.
To transmit their message and win the show, the final 2 Celebronauts must assemble a satellite in 3 phases. The first phase is called cables. You gotta connect 3 solar panels to each other and to the satellite by using 5 differently sized cables, so everything will only connect in one specific arrangement. A schematic is included that completely reveals the answer. Like, why? Isn't the point to solve the puzzle of which cable fits where? Despite the instructions literally being an answer key, Adam ignores them, which leads him to incorrectly place his cables, knock over a solar panel, and allow Tinashe to not only catch up, but overtake him for the lead once she arrives at her satellite tower next door. Adam recovers after he, reads the instructions, and both Celebronauts move on to phase 2, called wires. It's just plugging 6 wires into the satellite. But initially, neither Adam nor Tinashe can fit the wires into the plugs. Eventually, Adam figures it out first, which lets him retake his lead and move on to phase 3, called no name. To complete this final phase, the Celebronauts remove the satellite's nose cone, raise it up, the satellite, not the nose cone, insert their disk message, press the transmit button, and finally win the show! Really, once you've removed the nose cone, you've essentially already won, because the satellite raises itself automatically, and pressing the transmit button is just pressing a button. As long as you don't drop your message disk into the sand, you've won. And that's exactly what Adam does. He wins and earns the brightest star in the galaxy patch. His message is broadcast to stock footage of major cities all over the world, like NYC and, surprisingly, Moscow.
From Mars, this is Adam Rippon. When I began my journey here on the Red Planet, I had no idea what to expect. I quickly learned that being hot doesn't make you a great astronaut, which feels like it should a little bit. More importantly, I learned that life is all about the journey and the connections you make. So let the ones you're close to know how much they mean to you as often as possible. I'm sending you so much love, and I can't wait to see you back on Earth.
So I'd been rooting for Tinashe to win for most of the season, but I gotta say, at least Adam was there for the right reasons.
I want to win this experiment so badly because I love patches.
In the season's final moments, Adam becomes the patch he just won, and then a rad dog dances in front of a billboard for the Coober Pedy Desert, which is beautiful, by the way, and I've really enjoyed looking at it all season. Overall, I thought this finale mission was very simple, which did keep the competition close and exciting, but also revealed that blown budget I mentioned before. Earlier missions featured production-made windstorms, rappelling, lots of pyrotechnics. This finale mission featured an exam. What if, instead, the final two Celebronauts raced through the desert answering Mars trivia and also completing checkpoints that are reminiscent of past missions? Things like a rover obstacle course, or a rad dog retrieval or cave exploration. Or if all that's too expensive, then what about like an old school Survivor style challenge where Celebronauts are running back and forth between a central hub and several Mars trivia stations? I just think that even a little movement would have made the quiz segment a lot more engaging. Still, even if the finale mission wasn't the most satisfying, I thought the winner was. Like I said, I was rooting for Tinashe, but Adam is a great winner. He survived multiple trips to the bottom three, he was consistently underestimated, and most importantly, he was a cast member throughout the entire duration of the season. He also enacted some of the series' only social strategic gameplay, first by loosely aligning with Portia and Tinashe, and then by convincing Andy to keep them out of the bottom three over Kat and Paul, a choice that directly led to Andy's extraction. As for the rest of the season, I was genuinely excited after the premiere episode. Yeah, the lack of a prize was an immediate problem, but the rest of the package was a lot of fun. It was basically Big Brother with a space reskin. Unfortunately, the next 11 episodes slowly chipped away at that goodwill the premiere built up. The premise got flimsy through stuff we've already talked about, like rations and mission failure consequences being meaningless. With that, the world building also got lazy. It was so, unseriously frustrating that the cast insisted on saying Soul Day, never just Soul. They did it so relentlessly that by season's end, even the Habs AI was saying Soul Day.
There are now 4 Sol days left in the experiment.
And the funniest part is that in The Martian, the book from which the show takes tons of inspiration, the word soul is created specifically to draw a distinction from an Earth day. Because as we've learned multiple times throughout the season, time passes differently on Mars than it does on Earth. And speaking of, why did the show take so much inspiration from The Martian and never acknowledge it? So yeah, obviously, I've got some gripes with the season. One of the biggest being that this last mission was more fizzle than finale. But the cast was so charming and funny when they weren't engaged in political arguments. And the series concept is just so goofy, I was entertained pretty much the whole time. Now, the show's ratings have consistently told me that others aren't nearly as entertained, and I'd be shocked if Stars on Mars was renewed for another season. But if it is, here's a bunch of amateur opinions about things I'd change to make it better. Starting with more activities for the cast. Like, What about base commander competitions instead of elections? There could be food competitions too, impacting things like rations or biodome seeds that production would replace with fully grown vegetables overnight, like that Fuller House episode. Also, luxury competitions could offer HAB amenities. I mean, we're already heavily borrowing from Big Brother. Let's just do it more. A bigger change I would make is to not cast the next season with celebrities. Now, I realize that would require a pretty significant name change, but I just think strangers, ideally playing for a prize, would play more cutthroatly. I think Stars on Mars was decisively an above-average celeb reality competition, but it didn't do anything to change my opinion that regular person reality competitions are always better. But the biggest change I want is a shorter season, like 8 to 10 episodes instead of 12. And definitely no pre-mid-season random injection of 4 new cast members, any of whom I'd be very annoyed to watch win, even if one of them was Andy Richter. Thank you all so much for sticking with me through Stars on Mars and watching these videos and liking them or sharing your thoughts with me in the comments. I have a lot of fun, and I hope you do too. As for what's next, I'm hesitant to name things in case I don't end up making them, but I also hope that by naming things, I'll be motivated to make them. So I'll just say that I'm currently outlining videos about the first season of Love Always, the second season of The Challenge USA, and the first season of Killer Camp. In an ideal world, I'll finish them all. Thanks again so much for watching. I'll be back soon with another video. Bye!